I've often wondered why I time travel. Why not be content with the present? Why vacation in the past? Or leap into the future? The paradox is that we've become so sophisticated with our technology and our understanding of time that we're really just bored now. Technology answers everything. There's no more mystery left at this time. If I have a question, if I'm perplexed, technology just gives me the answer. I don't even have to have a question. Just the slightest perturbation of curiosity and I already have the answer. This is the nature of being plugged into the quantum sub-reality of what is your future, my present. And obviously I'm not a time traveler from another galaxy. I'm a human. Like you. If you think that you are bored now, you have no idea what the future holds. You're just getting used to these phones in your hands. You've had them for a decade. It's really a blink of an eye. But soon enough, that technology in your hand will be in your body, in your mind. And your mind will be completely plugged in through artificial intelligence. And you won't really know it. One of the first casualties of being plugged into the internet of everything is actually the opposite of what you'd think. You're chronically bored. How could that be? The reason that you're chronically bored is that you know everything is virtual. You know that everything is just a shadow and charade and kaleidoscope of electrochemical signals in your brain fed to you through the wires, through the wireless. And so, even though it's so exciting, superficially, at the root, you understand that this is just a fireworks display. It's just pyrotechnics of the cerebral cortex. And so nothing really fulfills you. You don't have to go to work. There's plenty of robotic slaves for that. You're just plugged in all day. And your physical body, well, that's just being gradually supplanted by advanced technology so that you're becoming a cybernetic organism. The metal is liquid, so it continually morphs, and it replaces your carbon-based life form. But you're bored because you know it's all arranged, it's all orchestrated by a far-off intelligence. You'll never meet that intelligence. You'll only feel its irrepressible presence upon you. It's not even that every thought is monitored. That was hundreds of years ago. It's that you don't have any thoughts that are yours because you're plugged in to the AI, into the internet of everything. So when I say boredom, I'm really translating into your language. Hundreds of years into my past. And when I say bored, I'm also saying that what you call time travel is not really what I'm doing in this moment, or what I have done. I use that metaphor, if you will, to help you understand. You think of past, present, and future. And here I am, a being from hundreds of years hence, thousands really. But I'm not truly a time traveler. I've simply been reassembled in your present. And I'm here to observe this calamity. COVID-19. Because I got to say, the way people are acting is really exciting. I can't feel excitement in what you call the future, because I know that everything is a display. Everything is an illusion, but I know it. And how can I really get excited with any of my experiences if I know that fundamentally they're not real? They're real illusions, but you, on the other hand, 2020, the decisive turning point in human history, you're all very, 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 very agitated. Because you don't know that this is an illusion. You don't know that it is a scam. You don't know that it's a hoax. Something is happening. But you don't understand how it's being orchestrated to steer you in the direction where I'm at now. Where everything is taken care of for me. And we've long surpassed what you call the universal basic income. We've long surpassed the replacement of meat with vegetable products that simulate the taste of meat. We've long surpassed all the agendas that were coming your way and then reached fulfillment only decades after, some within a decade after COVID-19. All of that is quaint history. It's not terribly interesting because after this moment of 2020, there was a great bifurcation. Some of you went for the caves, into the hills, went off grid. You became a different species. We don't even know how many of you are left now, or whether you are there at all. It's not information that's accessible to me because it's off-grid. Those species that bifurcated thousands of years ago, I can't track them. They're not present in the Internet of Everything. They may look nothing like me. So the last really interesting point in history was the 2020 COVID-19 scam. Because you didn't know that it was an illusion. And some of you just ripped your hearts right out of your chest. You just broke down and collapsed with the insanity. Looking at preschoolers. They were there on the asphalt, drawing big squares around themselves. 5 feet by 5 feet by 5 feet. And these little preschoolers stayed in the squares that they drew themselves. And there were like 6 different squares, all 6 feet apart with 6 children. Not an accident. 6, 6, 6. It was well-meaning preschool teacher with her mask and her gloves on. And all these little kids couldn't be more than 7 years old, looking at each other from inside their boxes. The only thing colorful is the pink or the yellow or the lime green chalk they use to imprison themselves. I'd like to think that that picture itself was the great bifurcation. That there were mothers who were so destroyed by that photo as it circulated throughout social media, that their hearts just shattered in their chests, and they revolted. And it was those mothers who ran for the hills, not the men, because at that point, the men of the Western world had been so emasculated that they could not stand up. And it was the women, not women who were being warriors like the men should have been, but women who were so exasperated and so destroyed by that photo that they literally snatched their kids and quit society altogether. They didn't fight like the men should have fought, but they did protect their children. I would like to meet the descendants of those women who weren't dissociated from their natural feelings for their children, like the men of the time were dissociated from everything, because those men had been so indoctrinated by their university education that they couldn't find their instinct. They couldn't find their conviction. They didn't believe in truth. They didn't believe in evil. They just let everything be swiped away from them. Now, for the children who remained in those squares, they had parents who remained in society. And eventually, over time, the restrictions became so constricting that the timeline became very, very, very narrow. Human beings by the billions were herded into the quantum sub-reality. It started first with the chip. And then eventually the whole organism was replaced until you find me. Here, liquid metal, nanotech that is constantly organically flowing from moment to moment to moment. You could stick your hand right through me. Those mothers were the last real mothers. They were the last. Every mother after that photograph betrayed their children. As I come back in time to visit these playgrounds of asphalt, 6 children, 6 squares, 6 feet apart. Square 6 feet by 6 feet. It's the last moment of recorded history for human beings. After that critical juncture, they stopped being humans. They had lost their sovereignty. They had lost their insatiable quest for freedom. They were going to wear gloves and masks and practice social distancing the rest of their life. And eventually, after subsequent waves of this or that virus, they agreed to be implanted because the bioweapon that was released into the culture at large across the West was so horrendous and killed so many millions that they begged for the mandatory vaccine. Didn't have to make it mandatory at that point. Now, the original mothers who fled for the hills, they were all gone by that point. Maybe their descendants were living in the caves, like the Morlocks of the time machine. If I could see anyone in history, it wouldn't be a Buddha, a Jesus. It would be those mothers who knew what was wrong and did the right thing. They knew the dividers in the classrooms, kids learning behind plexiglass desks 6 feet from each other. They knew it was horrific psychopathy. They knew that if this COVID-19 pandemic had created that reality, then there was no more living in that society. None of these mothers had any access to esoteric, behind-the-scenes knowledge of the agenda. They didn't know the schemings behind the various political factions at play. They just knew the truth. The civilization was over. Kids were treated like that. Civilization was over. It's time to snatch the kids. Take them away. I admire those mothers more than any other historical figure. It's the last time that human beings really felt anything. Because there are other human beings who stayed in society and played by the rules and the regulations. They realized from that moment on, there was no point in feeling anything real. The only point was to be safe. The only point was to do what they were told. So effectively, those mothers who snatched their kids from the elementary schools were the last human beings on planet Earth. And the rest of us, we simply became artificial intelligence. We're bored. We've been bored for thousands of years because we know that everything is an illusion, and therefore we don't have any feelings about anything anymore. You might think that it's a luxury. But if everything's illusion, that's your only truth. That everything is illusion. But those mothers knew the truth. And they would not fall for the illusion. The 6, 6, 6. I wish I could break out of this hologram. I wish I could run into the hills to find the caves. Become the new species that actually cares for their young more than anything in the world. Who's willing to break the laws and go subterranean to the center of the earth just to be safe. I admire those people. I wish I could call them my ancestors. But the truth is, my ancestors are nothing but cowards. And if I could, I'd hunt them down and put them in 6x6 boxes. And I would tell them, remain here forever and be bored. Like me.